Witness, if you will, a small town nestled in the heart of an unremarkable valley, a place where the rhythm of life ticks along like the gears of a well-oiled clock. But in this tranquil village lies a man whose precision and punctuality are about to be tested in ways beyond the bounds of imagination. Meet Harold Winston, the town's esteemed clockmaker, who is about to discover that time is not always on your side, here in the Twilight Zone. The town of Millville was like a picture postcard from a bygone era. Cobblestone streets wound their way through rows of quaint cottages, each with well-tended gardens. In the town square stood the pride of Millville, a majestic clock tower, its hands perpetually marking the passage of time, with a steady, reassuring tick. Harold Winston, a man in his late 50s, was the keeper of time in Millville. Tall and slender, with a neatly trimmed gray beard and wire-rimmed glasses perched on his nose, Harold carried an air of quiet dignity. His workshop, Winston's Timepieces, was a haven for horological enthusiasts, filled with the gentle symphony of ticking clocks. Each morning, Harold would open his shop at precisely 8 a.m., the chimes of the town clock echoing his punctuality. His routine was as precise as the mechanisms he crafted: a cup of tea at 9 a.m., lunch at noon, and closing the shop at 5 p.m. The townspeople admired his dedication and often sought his expertise in fixing their cherished timepieces. One crisp autumn morning, as Harold prepared to open his shop, he found a peculiar package on his doorstep. It was an antique clock wrapped in brown paper with a note attached: "Fix me if you can." Intrigued, Harold carefully unwrapped the clock and brought it inside. The clock was unlike any he had ever seen. Its ornate brass casing was tarnished with age, and the face was adorned with cryptic symbols instead of numbers. As Harold examined it, he felt a strange sensation, as if the clock was watching him. Determined to restore the clock to its former glory, Harold set to work. Hours turned into days, as he meticulously cleaned, polished, and reassembled the intricate mechanisms. But no matter what he did, the clock refused to tick. As Harold toiled away, he began to notice subtle changes. Time seemed to stretch and compress around him. Moments of clarity would be followed by periods of confusion, as if the very fabric of reality was being manipulated by the clock. The townspeople, too, sensed something amiss. They spoke in hushed tones about the strange occurrences: children aging overnight, days passing in the blink of an eye, and nights that seemed to last forever. Their once unwavering trust in Harold began to waver, and whispers of suspicion filled the air. Unbeknownst to Harold, the clock held a dark secret. It was a relic from a time long forgotten, crafted by a master clockmaker who sought to control time itself. But the clockmaker's ambition had come at a terrible cost, and the clock was cursed to bring misfortune to anyone who dared to tinker with it. Harold's obsession with the clock grew, consuming him entirely. He neglected his shop, his friends, and even his own well-being. His once orderly life descended into chaos as he desperately tried to unlock the clock's secrets. Late one night, as Harold worked by the dim light of a lantern, he discovered a hidden compartment within the clock. Inside, he found an old, leather-bound journal. The pages were brittle with age, but the words were still legible. The journal chronicled the life of the clockmaker, a man named Edmund Blackwood, who had created the clock to manipulate time. Edmund's tale was one of brilliance and madness. He had been a genius, driven by a desire to control the one thing that eluded humanity: time. But his creation had turned against him, and he had become a prisoner of his own invention. The journal ended with a warning: beware the clock, for it holds the power to unravel time itself. Realizing the gravity of his situation, Harold knew he had to act quickly. He pored over the journal, searching for a way to break the curse. Days turned into nights as he delved deeper into Edmund's writings, hoping to find a solution. As the anomalies in time grew more severe, the town teetered on the brink of collapse. Desperate and exhausted, Harold decided to dismantle the clock, piece by piece, in a final attempt to end the curse. In the dead of night, as Harold removed the last screw, a ghostly figure appeared before him. It was Edmund Blackwood, his eyes filled with sorrow and regret. "You cannot escape the curse," he whispered. "Time is a force beyond our control, but you can make a sacrifice to restore balance." Harold listened intently as Edmund explained the nature of the curse. To reset time and save the town, Harold would have to sacrifice something of great personal value: his own sense of time. He would live the rest of his days in a world where time moved differently for him, a never-ending cycle of fleeting moments in elongated hours. With a heavy heart, Harold agreed. As he made the final adjustments to the clock, a blinding light enveloped the room. When it faded, the town of Millville had returned to normal, the strange occurrences nothing but a distant memory. Harold, however, was forever changed. He continued to run his shop, but his perception of time was forever altered. Days felt like minutes, and minutes stretched into eternity. Yet he found solace in knowing that he had saved his beloved town. Narrator. Harold Winston, a man who dared to tamper with the delicate threads of time, now lives in a world where moments blend into one another. His sacrifice serves as a reminder that some forces are beyond our control, and that time, once disrupted, can never truly be mended. For in the end, we are all but fleeting seconds in the vast expanse of eternity, here in the Twilight Zone.